the theme of the book or the thought of Leviticus 27 is what? Just the thought itself. What is it talking about? Something that we all done and don't even realize it.
Holding up your vow.
That's it. It's a vow.
It's a vow.
Leviticus 27 is built around a vow. And how not only a vow, but how you made a vow with God. How you told God that you would hold on to His word. How you told God that, yeah, Lord, whatever it takes for me to learn of you, I will do it. That's a vow. And then when you don't pick up His word or read His word, then you say, thank you, but no thank you. Then you wonder why, what's going on with my life? Why things don't work because you're not reading the vow. Because you don't understand the vow that you took when you went in that water grave of baptism. You said, Lord, I love you and I will keep your commandments. That's what you said. Lord, I love you and I will keep your commandments. Because He said, if you love me, He says what? Keep my commandments. Well, Lord, I just didn't understand your commandments, and God's going to hold you. He's going to hold you accountable. When you make a vow to God, God holds you accountable. Mankind, that's a different ballgame. But when you make a vow to God, then you've told God this is what you're going to do. And you make that break, and you break that vow with God. All I can say is I just hope that God has mercy on you. Because God is going to deal with you with your breaking of the vow. God, look at it, says, when we start off in Leviticus 27 verses 1. And the Bible says again, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, when a man makes a difficult vow, he shall be valued according to your valuation of a person belonging to the Lord. So then God's word He's talking about here is now not only a vow, but how you dedicate yourselves to God. He said, Lord, I'm yours, do whatever you have me to do. You could either dedicate yourself or you could do what? Dedicate your child. And remember, there was a woman that dedicated her child, remember? Y'all don't remember. I think it's Samuel. Y'all seen it in Samuel. It is. It's in 1 Samuel. Her name starts with an H. Yeah, it's Hannah. It's Hannah. Hannah. And what did Hannah dedicate? Her son. She said, the Bible says in 1 Samuel 1:11, she made a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look upon the afflictions of your maidservant, and remember me, and not forget your maidservant, but will give your maidservant a son, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and a razor shall never come upon his head. See it? 1 Samuel 1:11. Well, that statement was made. Did Hannah keep her promise?
Yeah.
Yes, she did. Okay, now hear me, guys. She was to give this child to someone else for the rest of their lives. I'm saying this because a lot of times we don't get it. It ain't a weekend thing. It ain't for a couple of months I'm going to dedicate myself to you, Lord. It is a lifetime thing when you give yourself. That's what you did when you went in that water grave of baptism. You said, I've given my life to you, Lord. Lord, I've given my whole life to you. And so God is expecting you to give His life. I heard Him say He wants your heart, your soul, and your mind. Remember that? So then God is expecting you to give yourself. That's why when we start to talk about these rewards or these punishments, the reward is great, but so is the punishment. Because you said, I have made a vow to you. And a lot of times we don't get it. A lot of times we don't understand what it is that we've done. But you've made this vow. God's going to ask you to hold it up. There was another gentleman, too, that made a vow, remember? And he says, the first person that comes out of my house, they were in war. He said, the first person that comes out, I think it's Gideon. The first person that came out of his home, he says, the first one comes out, I will sacrifice
His daughter.
That was his daughter. His daughter was the first one that came out. And so he wept. But he had to keep what he said he was going to do. He had to keep that vow. So he stuck to his vow and gave her away. So that's what I want to see. What you to see is in the studying, we shouldn't get any further than 8. But what I want you to see in the studying in 1 through 8 is the ideal of a vow that is made of a person or made of a child. This is what you're going to see 1 through 8. From 9 on, you're going to see animal sacrifice. But from 1 through 8, you're going to see the ideal of a person or a child. I put down in your 27 death, diseases, accidents, war in your paper. War and other desperate circumstances often start people to pray and pray intensely. They want help in delivery. Often they cry out to God, begging God for help. If God will deliver them, they will make a promise to God, a vow such as serving God, dedicating their families to God, giving money, houses, or property to God, changing sinful habits, reckless lifestyle, destructive behaviors. You see what I'm saying? Stop and think about it. Have you not gotten yourself caught up where you've made a vow to God if He would just help you? If He would just help you get through this. Stop and think about it. I don't know about you all. Yes, I know I've made them. Have you made them too? Where you just say, Lord, if you just get me through this. Lord, I'll do this for you. I won't do that for you. Well, God holds us to those vows that we made. Sometimes we wonder that I don't understand why life is not like it should be or why life is treating me bad. Because you made a vow. And you've broken that vow. So God says, right. I don't know if we say giving money, houses, or property to God, but how about this changing sinful habits? How about that one? How about reckless lifestyles? How about that one? How about destructive behavior? We're going to change our behavior. How about that one? Stop and think about it. These are some things that we've taken into consideration. So how about vows and promises? I said vows and promises are very serious to God. Once a vow is made, it is sacred. It must be kept. Vows made before God are not to be taken lightly. A just social, a society even declares the truth. And a man is only as good as his word, right? Mm-hmm. Stop and think about it. At one time you did what? At one time you did what?
You shook on it.
That's right. You shook on it. And when you shook on it, that was it. You just declared, that was the vow that you made. You shook on it, so that took care of it. Nowadays we say, no, shaking is not enough because if I have to go to court, then I need to have documentation to back it up. Right? That's what you do. But when you start talking about Christians and you're making a vow, then that should be just what it is. I can shake hands. Jim, that ink got on me. See it? Right there.
Oh.
I can shake hands and that would be suffice. But in this case, stop and think about it. Look at what's going on. So, we do not we don't break vows. When we say this is what we're going to do for God, we must do it. When we say this is what we're going to do for man, then we need to do it too. That's why we have something that allows us to be able to get in touch with one another. If things just don't go. You call and say, hey, I know I said I was going to do this, but my apologies, this is what came up. So much as I think Renee used to get on me about this all the time. Because I tell somebody, I'm going to be there, and then I wouldn't show up. And then she said, why are you, what? And it's all because I had something else to do. Oh, I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. And I said, a lot of times I believe that my breaking was, a lot of times I was working on a car or something. And so now all of a sudden this comes up, you're supposed to be somewhere else. And I'm like, oh Lord, I can't make it because I'm working on this. But the bottom line is there was still a vow that was made. I made that vow, and I should have kept that vow. So I just, out of ignorance, out of stupidity, whatever you want to call it, bottom line is I broke it. Well, in this situation, you don't break a vow with God. in this situation. No vows. And so let me ask you something. What vows did you make with God? I can go around the classroom. What vow did you make with God? I don't care if they're repeated vows, but what vow did you make with God? Yeah.
Sounded like a question.
To honor him by my actions and put no one else above him and keep his commandments.
That's the vow that you made?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just, Rico, what vow did you make with God?
Changing the reckless lifestyle.
Okay. Renee, what vow did you make with God? You made a vow. Huh?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Marlon?
To try to follow his ways and keep his commandments.
Irene?
I get to try to stop swearing so much.
Well, as you said, I mean, that's coming clean.
Yeah.
Kevin?
To keep his commandments.
Jim?
Same thing. Commandments.
So now remember what you're saying.
You just
when
say
you-
your answer.
Huh?
You just say your
Well,
answer.
because I said this, my answer is pretty much the same. But here's the point. Do you know what this commandments are? That we gotta do what?
Love.
Love thy neighbor.
I was talking to someone earlier, and I made that perfectly clear. If everybody or these people continue to keep in your life, you believe that they're wrong about it, I said, then you made them your enemies. I said, if you made them your enemies, the Bible says in Matthew the 5th chapter that you're in love your enemies.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so if this is the case, look what you're making, look what you're doing for yourself. You're making it harder. Your Christian walk, you're making your Christian walk harder than it has to be. All you need to do then is stop hating and start loving everybody. And I said, and by the way, then you'll stop labeling everybody as your enemy. I said, this is what it comes down to. I said, this isn't a Warren speech. This is God's speech. God says, love your enemy. So either way you get it, you can either love me because you like me, love me because you care for me, or you can love me because you hate me. Either way you look at it, but you still got to love me. You know what I'm saying? You can't get around it. You still have to love me. That's in order to, if you want to walk with Christ. That's if you want to be in Christ. So look at the thought here, guys. But then watch this. Then, so I want you to see that Timothy was reading. He says, when thou shalt vow a vow.
When thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy God, thou shalt not slack to pay it, for the Lord thy God will surely require it of thee, and it will be sin in thee. But if thou shalt forbear to vow, it shall be no sin in thee. That which is gone out of thy lips thou shalt keep and perform, even a free will offering, according as thou hast vowed unto the Lord thy God, which thou hast promised with thy mouth. Deuteronomy.
So then, listen to what's going on. You say, where are you getting all this? Because it's back to a difficult vow. What is a difficult vow? Something that may be hard to keep. Stop and think about it. But you made a difficult vow. When you made it, I don't know. You could have made it when life was really hard. That's when you made it. But the problem is you made a difficult vow. Irene says she has a problem with swearing. So guess what? That may be a difficult vow. But the bottom line is she's got to uphold it. Now she's got to do something about it. So here would be in that situation, in that particular situation, because that's considered a special vow, whether you know it or not. So then what she would have to do is work on it. So watch this. How do I work on not swearing? Things have to come into your life that would make you swear. Stop and think about it. Things that have to come into your life. That's the only way you can fix something when you start to talk about that kind of behavior. I want to stop that kind of behavior, then God has to give it to you. He has to present it to you. I mean, whether it be through family, employees, well, what's a store, you go to the store, gas station, whatever it is, freeway, whatever it is, but you hear me? Whatever it is, that's the only way you're going to correct that behavior. That's the to you. A lot of times we say what? God give me what? Patience. Don't we ask God for that? Lord, give me patience. Well, how do you know He's giving you patience? Until the challenge is given to you. So the challenge has to be given to you. And then watch this, and then see how you respond in this. Do you get irritated? Does it bother you? Do you say something? Then you say, I still haven't received patience yet. I still need to work on this some more. The key here in Irene's situation would be bringing something to her attention. The Spirit brings it to your attention. Watch this. You may blur out. Then you ever blurt out and said something and you go, oh, Lord, I should have said that. Lord, you know I didn't mean that. But it's already blurred out. Well, but you know it or not, that is God working with you to help you to overcome what it is that you've asked for. Because all of a sudden now you catch it. Oh, no, I shouldn't do that. Now the thing is, how do you react after you've caught it? Do I continue, or do I finally pull the plug and just say, I shouldn't have did that, let me back off? Maybe my answer is, in this case, maybe being quiet. Since I can't control that issue, since that which is what, in this case, swearing makes, when I get upset, it makes me blur out, then maybe I need to be quiet and just let it go. Even though it's killing me, maybe I need to just back off and allow it to take its course so that I can go on. Because the more I get a situation that I would normally swear or curse, each time I realize eventually it goes away. Let's take this. How many in this room never swore, never cursed? That's my point. We all did it. So then ask yourself, what made you stop if you stopped? But what made you stop if you stopped? Because I was at the same situation too. But I says, no, I'm not going to do that. I refuse to form my lips anymore. And as time marched on, little by little, I had to discipline myself. Why? Because God is putting it before me. You said you didn't want to curse nobody. Well, you have to be challenged. I made a statement when I was over at the Denise's, their sister's home. I said, guys, my biggest fear of being a minister was eulogies. That was my biggest concern. I said, it wasn't that, you didn't know some book, because I knew some book, but it was doing eulogies. Well, let's see, I guess after one sister, dad, brother-in-law, I guess after that, I think he sent me a lesson to learn how to handle eulogies. You know what I mean? Those as close as possible. You could have just did it when I went into ministries with people I didn't know. No, I'm doing it with people you do know. You get any more of those papers? That's kind of what you're doing. So, I'm going to oh. So then you see what I'm saying? So here's my point. God says, well, that was your answer. Now, let me get you through it. Through the closest people you know. You hear me? That help? After a while, got it. You don't have to kill nobody else. Got it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to you don't have to do it no more. I got it. Now I understand. And watch this. No, I'm not afraid of a dead body no more. Got it. I understand. It's a dead body. It ain't going to do nothing. I understand now. I can go beside it because I didn't even want to go beside it. Remember, where's the preacher when eulogies are at? And he right there beside the body? So stop and think about it. I can go there beside the body. I can even look at the body. You know what I mean? When there's been times, no, Lord, I I don't want to be around it. I don't want to see it. I don't want none of the above. But you see what I'm saying? So what God does is that challenge has to be there because you ask God for something. Some say, give me strength. Fellow, now understand, God has already given you strength. That's how you get up. You know what I'm saying? You get up, get around. That's strength God has already given you. Sometimes we ask for things that we don't even realize God has already given you. He's telling you to use it. Remember, that's all in your toolbox when you went in that water river baptism. Galatians 5:22. When you went in, strength, patience is right here. See it on the board? It's right there. When you went in, these are what the special vows that you ask God. He said, I got you. I got you. I'll work with you. Well, isn't that amazing? It starts off with love. Isn't that amazing? It starts off with love. So watch this. Did you know love is the umbrella of everything else? If you get love, then all these other items will fall in. But you've got to get a handle on love. And how do I get a handle on love? When you stop hating people. Did you hear me? When you stop hating people. Especially those that have done you wrong. When you stop hating. Those other ones will fall in line when you stop hating. Well, you don't understand what they did to me. When you stop hating. But I don't know if I can ever get past that. You can't if God is in you. Really? You can't if God is in you. But you got God, have God in your life. Another minister was talking the other day about a situation with someone that I'm counseling right now. And brother said, you got to understand, people are going to do what they want to do. They came to you hoping that you would find an outlet so that they can marry again. But when you turn around and give them, there is no outlet. Then, watch you, see how long they communicate with you. See if they call you, see if they talk to you. I told my wife that she just happened to be around when this person called. And I finally text the person back and says, I just want you to know I have studied the scriptures. I just want you to know, built around the scenario that you told me, your life that you told me. Marriage is not for you anymore. My only suggestion for you is to work out the one that you're in. And if you can't work that one out, well, we've separated. I think you need to unseparate that because that's the only one that God will allow you to be in. And I said that and I would like for you, you can call me, we can talk about it. She sent me what's called a face, those little faces. Where who? Emoji, when the person was crying, they said, I'll call you tomorrow. Well, I knew I wasn't going to hear from her. I said, I probably won't hear from her again. Because I said, I was going to, because I don't even come here, I don't even worship here. So I came to you because, believe me, I contacted the minister where she is going. And he says, I already talked to her. I talked to them both. I told them, you need to stay away from one another. So what did they do? They didn't like what I was saying, so what did they do? They ran to you. They're searching for, and watch this, and when you give them the answer, what you just did, then what are they going to do? Go find another pastor. They're hunting for somebody that's going to say, you're right. Pastor was wrong, I'm sorry, if you really look at this. So you're waiting for someone to totally disagree with what a few of us have already said. It ain't going to happen. I told, and I'm going to get off this song, but I explained to another someone, and they said, well, let me say this. If he broke a covenant, and she broke a covenant, then there's no covenant. Remember I told you that?
Yeah.
Then there's no covenant. So you're trying to tell me two wrongs will make a right. But I looked at his situation, and it makes all the sense in the world. It's got to be right, because you're in that same scenario. So you've been hunting for an outlet, and now you believe you found one. You believe you found something to justify it, so you go along with it. I shared it with another one of my mentors, and he started laughing. He said, you got to be kidding me. Brother Thompson, you know two wrongs don't ever make a right. You know the Bible doesn't say anything about that. But somebody is trying to justify their situation. When breaking a vow, expect to meet the vow. This is where I'm at. When you make a vow, when you make a vow, and make it with expectations. I always say too, in making a vow, understand that making a vow, don't make a vow so ridiculous that you can't meet it. Ever heard of that one too? Sitting out to make a goal, set out a goal for yourself and you can't reach the goal. I'm gonna be president of the United States. Oh, okay. And so what are you trying to do? So all your life you're trying to make president, but you never make it. It was a ridiculous vow that you made to yourself in the first place, or a goal that you made to yourself in the first place. Put something within reason.
I did that.
Okay.
When I was younger, I said, no matter what, I'm going to drive a Ferrari one day.
There you go.
Like, but I did do it.
Okay, so you did drive one.
Test
Okay.
drive. Huh?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
put the test in front of
Exactly.
but guys, watch this. The second, your next paragraph says what, Tiffany? Is that what-
The paper.
Uh,
There was the vow to dedicate oneself or some other person to God. The most common vow ever made is the dedication of one's life to God. The second most common vow is probably the dedication of one's child or family to God. In the eyes of God, the dedication of a human life to God is the most important vow ever made. Note the word singular or special. The Hebrew word Kayla means special, wonderful, marvelous, amazing, astounding, and even miraculous.
And guys, what did I say back in your book? And two, it says, speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, when a man makes a what?
Difficult.
See that? Yours even say special. So yours says a special vow. That's what he's talking about. When you make a special vow, and you know what you made, you know how you made it, you know what was going on when you made that vow. But the bottom line is you made a special vow. And God wants you to keep that special vow that you made to Him. It's not, I'd say, here's one very simple. I come back at Sunday, right after worship. Someone that's new, I go up to them and say, oh yeah, Brother Thompson, I'll see you again next week. Or you just talking, no, I'll see you again next week. You didn't make that vow to me. You made that vow to God. Am I right, Calvary? You made that vow to God. A lot of people don't understand it. And you broke it.
But don't they have to be aware that they're making it to God instead of just saying something? You know how some people
Right.
just will say that,
Right.
but don't they have to be aware that?
A lot of
that's what
times
they're
I'll
doing?
say it. Remember, that's not to me.
Mm.
A lot of times I'll actually say it. Remember, you've been making that one to me. You're making it to God. That's why I've said a lot of times. I said when I'm dealing with someone, I says, and they make stuff. I said, I want you to understand, it's not me. It's God. You may be talking to me, but you're really talking to God. This is a vow that you're making, a pledge that you're making. This is what you're doing. And so God is expecting you to hold it up. And then you don't understand. And what we miss is this. A lot of times a calamity comes in your life. And you don't understand that calamity. And I believe God will come and bring it to your attention why that calamity took place. Wait a minute. And a lot of times we call it a deja vu, or we'll call it, karma. Or like you said, a karma. But all of a sudden, but watch this, but don't connect, when you say karma, don't connect it with what you're trying to put it with. But simply allow that spirit to try to, that reminds you of something that you've done very softly. It reminds you, you made this. This is the reward for breaking this commandment that you said. That's why I say when we made our vows to God, when we went in that water grave of baptism, you said it. When we went in that water river baptism, we made a vow. We told God that we love Him. We told God that we would do what He asked us to do. We told God we would do these things. And then we allowed somebody to make us mad, and then we don't want to do it. I told I was talking to somebody today and says, it's amazing how you easily lose focus. How you easily lose focus. You were supposed to be focusing on God when you came here. You said you were coming to worship God. But Brother Thompson made you mad, so you don't want to come no more. You lost your focus. It should have never been about Brother Thompson. It should have been about God, but you lost your focus. You know, you didn't keep your focus where it should be. And just that quick, Satan snatched your thought. Just that quick, he snatched you and reeled you back into his world. Reeled you back. He just that quick. He doesn't use big machinery, big devices to pull you back in. He uses tiny ones. Real small ones that lured you right back into his web and took you right on back to where you are. Exactly the way you are. Put you right back where you are. Then you said, now I'm going to worship God. And God said, I'm sorry. You can't worship me. He said, but yeah, Lord, I'm here to worship you. He said, there's something that's required now. Now you got to ask for forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? Now there's something required. Because now you must ask for forgiveness. And the good thing about it is God is not hard like us. God says if you ask for forgiveness, He'll forgive you and move on. A lot of times we don't see that or we miss that. That's why I said, looking at this, I said I'm hung up on 2 before we go any farther. But I'm hung up on 2 because I want you to see something. Now I want you to see the next paragraph. This is all 2. I ain't going no farther. The next paragraph says, in the days of Moses.
In the days of Moses, a lay person could not dedicate himself or his children to the ministry. That task belonged only to the Levitical priesthood, only to Aaron and his sons and their descendants.
Remember, guys, what took place. And then I'll let you read the next one. But remember, I said it had to be it couldn't be a lay person couldn't do it. But what would be the scenario when someone wanted to dedicate? Remember I just told you. Where did she go? Where did Hannah go? Where did Hannah go when she made that dedication? She went to the priest. Remember, she went to the priest.
Yeah, Eli.
Yeah, she went to Eli. So she went to the priest. She couldn't do it herself. She had to now take it before Eli. And Eli now says, okay, since you made this vow, because that's what she did. I told you 1 Samuel 1:11. She made this vow. Now she got to keep it. Now she got to keep it. And she kept that vow. She gave that child to Eli. But can you imagine? She wanted a child so bad. Because the other wife, Penella, she was having children. But Hannah didn't have any children. So Hannah wanted a child. And so, see what's going on? So she made the vow out of desperation. And a lot of times that's what we do. Make a vow out of desperation. Lord, please help me. If you just help me, Lord, to get through this, Lord, I'll keep your commandments, Lord. Just help me. Well, you don't understand it. God says, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help you because you have made a vow. I'm going to keep my end. Now, you need to keep your end. Now you got to work this out. And a lot of times we don't see it, so we don't think little of it, like you said, out of desperation. So you've made something out of desperation, and you're not even aware, because once the problem has been resolved, what do you normally do? Go on about your business? Forget about it, go on about your business. Don't understand, you've been bound. Now you got to keep that bad boy. Now you got to hold on to it. Because God took you through that storm. I says God took you through that storm. God didn't take you around it. God took you through it. It was a hard pill to swallow as you were going through that storm. But God protected you the whole time you were going through that storm. See, you could have easily been sued. If you hear me, I'm talking about some storms. You could have easily been accused. How many times is that? That was a gentleman that was in prison for 5 or 6 years, a football player. He came out of high school, remember? And the girl had accused him. Remember? She had accused him. And then when he finally got out, she finally admitted that he didn't do anything to her.
And she lied about it.
She lied about it. And she had gotten $1 million out of the lawsuit, remember?
And
Yeah.
she got a book deal and.
Yeah, she got everything. Huh?
She didn't get in trouble?
He just backed off and said let it go.
Yeah.
But she took 5 years of his life away. She interfered with his NFL career because he was going to go to the NFL.
He's going to USC, I think.
Yeah, he was going to USC, and he was been going to. They said he was an NFL prospect, so he would have actually made the NFL. But he went back out to try. It ain't there no more. That's 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years of not developing that skill anymore. And even though they tried to be nice and allow and invite him back and try to get him to be a part of it, it was 5 years, guys. Stop and think about it. That's so sad. Behind somebody's life. Isn't that sad? Anyway, I wanted you to see this. Before we go any farther.
Therefore, a person who dedicated himself or some other person to God was required to pay the monetary value of that person to the sanctuary. Note that the monetary value is based upon the labor value of a person, based upon the ability of a person to work.
I pulled this out of a commentary so that you can see it. See it? So that you can see it. You don't have to. I wondered what it meant. So watch this. Here's how when we read it, here's what, and then you'll see it lays itself out. So, back into our Bible. Whose turn was it to read? Back into our Bible. 3 says,
The conversion value of the male from 20 years old up to 60 years old is 50 shekels by the standard of the sanctuary shekel.
okay, so guys, watch this. Pull your paper. I said your Leviticus 3 and 4. So we've got the male, see it? 20 to 60 years, 50 shekels, right? The value of the female,
30 shekels.
why is she so less? See how less she is? So Rico, did you read 4 too?
No.
Oh, okay.
If the person is a female, the conversion value is 30 shekels.
So guys, look at this. She's less. She's less by 20 shekels. So guys, and what that says is what they thought of the female at that time. That's really what they're saying. There's no equality. Stop and think about it. Did you not have to fight for women's right just to be paid equal, and you're still struggling with getting paid equal? Stop and think about it. That female is still struggling with getting paid equal. A lot of times the job will hire you and tell you not to go and tell you not to reveal your pay to anyone else. Why do you think they hide it?
They pay everyone differently.
You see what I'm saying? Well, we pay everyone different. But why do you think you're hiding it? Because there is something to hide. You don't realize that there really is something to hide. I pay the male more. I'll never forget it when I went in and I was told you're getting a whole lot more than a lot of the others are getting. And I'm like,
And you told somebody.
I said, you for real? No, but as they talk, I just sit there and listen. And as they talk, I could hear it, and I was like, oh my God. So, you know what? No, I couldn't tell because I
But you
said,
said, remember you said a while, this one asked you about it, how much you get paid, and you
one
told him.
of my friends that was, and I said, and when I met, she's like,
He was like, oh.
so I says, and I'll forget it. I was in one of the meetings, and even my attire, they wouldn't allow you to wear what's called mock tops or turtlenecks in the banking world. Well, I'll never forget it. I'd gotten sick or something. Strip throat. Strip throat.
Strip.
So anyway, when it was over, I quite naturally wanted to. Now I really want to protect. After feeling that, you don't want to feel that. Anybody had strip throat? So you know strap throat. Is that what it's
We
called?
didn't have strip throat, but strep.
But you see what I'm saying? So you've had it. So you know how it feels.
Yeah.
And now you want to protect it. Well, anyway, we were in a meeting and one of the guys actually brought up, but can we wear mock tops? As if to say, you know what I'm saying? But he didn't want to say it, you know, but he, and the district manager said, well, let me just state this. I know everybody's looking at Warren Thompson. She just said it. I know everybody's looking at Mr. Thompson. And no one can compete with Mr. Thompson's dress code. No one can come close. She actually said this. No one can come close to Mr. Thompson's dress code. Mr. Thompson is always in a suit. He's very well dressed at all times. She said, so I don't have a problem with Mr. Thompson if he wants to wear a mock top or a top, because I know he's going to complement it very well. It's going to always look dressed. She says, now the rest of you all, and then nobody wants, because that's regional. This is big boss. And the regional says, and I state that because she says, I have been into some of the branches, and I question sometimes the attire. She says, even though you may have a suit on, she says, sometimes the attire doesn't connect, doesn't match. She said, but Mr. Thompson, she said, if we're going to talk about it, Mr. Thompson is the GQ. The first thing. That's what she said. That's what she
Well, she
said.
was hitting on you.
Yeah. But she really hit home. She hit home. So she straightened that out. That's what I'm saying. She leveled that out so that they understand he can be on a different level playing field because of how he carries himself. But it has nothing to do with my income. Hear me? But if we were talking about income, well, let's talk about something else. But you see what I'm saying? So watch this. Looking at your text, isn't that amazing? A man is valued at 50. But a woman is valued at 30. Well, let's read some more. Whose time is it? 5. It's your time, Charlie.
A boy between the ages of 5 and 20 is valued at 20 shekels of silver. A girl that age is valued at 10 shekels of silver.
Okay, so now watch. Pull your paper. See it? 5 to 20. I like how she said a boy. So 5 to 20, he's valued at what? No, that's not the answer. Okay. 20 what? And the woman is valued at?
10.
10. Isn't this amazing? 6 says what? Verse, that's time for what's name? Calvin, I guess. Come in.
And if from a month old up to 5 years old, then your valuation for a male should be 5 shekels or 5 shekels of silver. And for a female, your valuation shall be 3 shekels of silver.
So guys, pull your paper. See it? 1 month to 5 years. See it?
Yep, 5 shekels.
7, Jamal.
Verse 7. If it is a person 60 years old or more, set the value of a male at 15 shekels, and of a female at 10 shekels.
At least I got a little bit more. I got 15.
It's only 10 more than Judd.
I ain't worth nothing. And then he laughed. Lord, go ahead. 8 says what?
If anyone making the vow,
No, ain't your time. 8 is Luke's time.
But if he is poor, then your valuation, then he should shall be placed before the priest, and the priest shall value him according to the means of the one who vowed. The priest shall value him.
So I got it, see it, fourth person?
You know, I'm thinking that the valuations maybe have to do with the output based off physical strength. Yeah, all right.
No, you're there. Go ahead, say what, go ahead, speak your piece.
No, that was it. So, you know, they think, okay, well, physical labor, say if a man who's had more muscle mass than,
That's it.
you know, the female, and depending on your age, what you're able to do.
Okay? So that's what you got. Because they came out of what? Slavery.
You say it, yeah.
Remember they came out of slavery. So now you do have value, but not as much. That man, like you said, much stronger, be able to carry a lot of stuff, be able to do a lot of things, so he's worth 50. That baby ain't worth nothing. But, you know what I'm saying? But that baby still, I like to have that baby because what I want to do is that baby's around so that I'll get that baby ready to be able to take on whatever it needs to be done. Let me say this, a lot of times you see professional athletes, you know what happens? What is the a lot of times, a ball is a good one. Lonzo Ball is a good one. Do you know when he started working with those boys?
They were young.
When they were babies. That's when he started working with those boys. He set up, you see this house, right? And he's got this whole gym thing in the backyard. He's got this whole gym thing set up in the backyard where they play ball all the time. And then he would make sure they played ball because he would coach them. So he makes sure. So what he's saying, watch this, it's amazing what the world will do. And it's amazing what we won't do. If you were to change, if you were to watch this, if you were to train that child from his youth to read, to learn, to study God's word, to love the Lord, guess which way is he going to go? Guess the way he's going to go. That child will lean upon the Lord. Don't know why they're leaning, but that child will lean upon the Lord. Even though they may have taken a left turn in life, but somewhere they'll do that. Everybody becomes rebellious. Okay? Our thing was long hair, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Stop and think about it. And everybody takes it, and you take a little turn in life, but you turn around and head and do what's right. But some of us, even at an older age, finally realize, wait a minute, the things that you've learned, you finally decided to turn your life around. You finally decided to get it together. I said in the eulogy yesterday, I said, some of you are sitting out here, and you really do need to change your lives. I said, some of you are waiting for me to shut up so you can go get your bottle that you got in that car. So you can go get your drink on. Just how you laugh, they start laughing. I said, wait a minute, some of you can't wait till you can fire up that joint. I said, I said, I'm being real. I said, this is real, and you know, and you could hear him, you could hear him whispering. I said, but this is what some of you are going to do. I said, you can't even get here. I said, some of you can't even get down here to the repass because you need to take a hit. You need to do something. I said, failing to understand. Look what you're doing. God sees you. You're going to have to answer to God with the lifestyle that you live. That becomes your lifestyle. God wants you to change your lifestyle. But it didn't start at that late age. It should have started at an early age. Where you could, where you have a base. You know what I'm talking about? So you have a foundation. The foundation is you've been taught your life about Christ. Then you jump off the base, and so you do whatever you want to do. You go out and lay up with every girl in town, or a girl lays up with every guy in town. You go out and you try a little spot that you know it ain't right, but you try it anyway just to see how things are going. Watch it. There's a drink. Come on. You had that first glass of whiskey. It burned. It burned, but watch this. But you repeated it anyway. You tried it again, and then eventually you got the hang of it, and so you were okay. And so now you went about and you didn't realize that to some, it would eventually become habit forming. You didn't realize that, but you dove into something that you shouldn't have done, that you shouldn't have. Watch this, what do you mean? If you had been closer to God, staying close to God, this is what I was sharing with someone else earlier today too. Everybody is diverse. Everybody grew up with a different lifestyle. So who are we to turn around and beat somebody because they're not doing it like we do it? So in looking at this text, stop and think about it. Here's someone that's coming along, came out of slavery. So what can I do? I said, what I want to do is, I want to dedicate myself to the Lord. Then pay the price. Then pay the price. So here's this child that Hannah, look what Hannah got for this child. She got what? Look at your paper. What did Hannah get for this child? 5 shekels. Stop and think about it. She didn't get anything for that child. Stop and think about that. You see what's going on? And yet at the same time, weren't they sold into slavery and things like that? So stop and think about it. Now you're looking at this person who you know, women, this is a person that would be great to be dedicated to the work of the Lord. Yes.
So they're paying money to be dedicated, or they're getting money after they dedicate?
Well, it's who dedicates yourself. This is the value of what you are. This is the value of what you are. In this case, you're valued at 50 shekels, or the female is valued at what? 30 shekels. So watch this. If you're the one, remember, because I think what you're seeing is you don't see. And that's this. How did it work in those days? Didn't it work, especially even with a woman? She was what? That man saw her and said, okay, I want to marry you. How did that work? It was the family or the father. That's right. It was the father that says, hey, me and you negotiate. You like my daughter. The daughter ain't got nothing, daddy's ugly. That ain't got nothing to do with it. All we're going to do is, you tell me, what I'm telling you is what she's worth. Do you want to pay? Yeah, okay, I'll pay it. Now, even in other countries, I do remember this because I remember a few saying this to me, and I remember a few doing this, and I witnessed this. A lot of jewelry. I mean, they get a lot of jewelry. You see it in your Persian countries. They give them a lot of jewelry. And you say, well, okay, so why do they get all this jewelry? So if the man decides to walk or leave her, she will not be a poor person. She has all of this jewelry that she can sell now. And this jewelry, we ain't talking about no $20,000 to $15. So we talking about something that can go into the hundreds.
Real solid gold.
You got that. Not that you know what I'm talking about. What do you call it? 15 karat, 10 karat. We talking about
24 carats.
yes. We talking about some real stuff. We ain't talking about no.
Not hollow.
Yes, right. Well, it is really good stuff that you gotta give to the Father, and you giving this to that family. And then that family is making sure that that daughter has this. A lot of families will turn around and give it to the daughter. And the daughter puts whatever she does, she's got to put it up. She cannot touch it. It remains.
A diary.
Yeah, that's it. So she can't use it. It has to be put away. And this is to protect her, just in case that man says, I don't want her no more. A lot of times, too, the marriages where she married someone much older.
They still practice that in certain countries.
Yes, she's still, right, and you're right. So you do see these things do exist. Well, stop and think about it. We're talking about now. Go back to then. when it was really a big thing. We say 50 shekels, that ain't nothing. Back then, that is a lot. That is a lot that you're spending to pick this man up. That is a lot. That 30 is a lot that you're doing to get this woman. So it really was a lot. Remember, a penny, you could buy some stuff with a penny at one time. Remember that. You could actually buy some stuff for a penny. Remember that? 5 cents was a nice little piece of change. You could do something with that. Stuff, you know what I'm saying? Gas was what, 50, 60 cents a gallon?
99 cents.
Yeah, stop and think about it. So let's now push it past our time and go even farther. I think I was with Renee's dad or something, said they paid $20,000 for that home in California. That house is now $400,000-$500,000. Did you hear me? That house is now valued at $400,000-$500,000. You saying $20,000? I could have wrote you a check.
Not in those days, you couldn't have.
No, but I'm saying to us, our mentality says, shoot, I could have wrote you a check. I could have worked that off in a year or two if you'd hold on. I'd worked 3 jobs and pay you off in no time. Not then. Because your salary might be $1 for the whole day. You see what I'm saying? For the whole day. So stop and think about it. So this then starts to make sense, and I think that's what you're talking about. This value is hard to see considering where we are right now. But this value was big. That's a lot of money that you're going to spend, because remember I said, was it in verse 8? It said what? Verse 8 says what?
It says, but if he is poor, then
But if he is what?
poor.
Wait a minute, so then what are you trying to say? Stop and think about it. If he is poor, then what are you trying to say? All that above meant somebody that has some money. Stop and think about it. Because he now identifies the person that's poor and how much you're going to pay for them.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Looks
So-
like a poor person is 2 shekels or less.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So stop and think about it. So you're talking about somebody that's got to have a little something.
Wow.
This is how this works. But remember, in this case, remember, Hannah made that statement. She said, I'll dedicate this child to you. If you just give him to me, Lord, I'll give him back to you. Huh? No, Samuel. If you give him to me, I will give him back to you. You're looking at Samuel where he couldn't cut his beard, couldn't cut his hair. I know what you're talking about on that one. And what did Samuel do? What did he do? No, not Samuel, it was Samson. And what did Samson do?
He told the secret.
Yeah, that's that part. But what was Samson? What did God, why couldn't cut your hair and couldn't cut anything? But why?
It wasn't strength.
It was a strength, but why did God give him that strength?
Because the mom gave a vow.
The vow was made, but God, when that vow was made, God had said something that Samson was going to do. Destroy the enemy. He was going to destroy the enemy. Remember, he was before 2 pillars. Remember? Of the Philistines. And remember, he pushed those 2.
The
And
pillars.
how many Philistines did he take with him? Stop and think about it.
A lot.
He's done something about it. So he was destroying what God had said would destroy. So God had a man that if he had stayed according to God's will, had a lot in front of him. But because Samson misused it, then what did God do? He will die too. And not only when he went against the grace of God, did he not suffer himself? When his eyes taken out, did they burn his eyes out?
Yep.
Stop and think about it. So he went through a lot of pain because he went against the will of God. Stop and think about it. This is where we are. I don't understand why tragedies, why trials and tribulations, why things don't work, because you made a vow. And it may be God's way of saying, I'm reminding to you, turn your ship around, and you said that you were going to dedicate yourself to me, then turn your ship around and come back and do what you told me you were going to do. I've always said this, guys, because I'm closing out. I told you we can just go one day. But watch this. I've always said this. A lot of times you don't realize. When you're making your vow, you need to upkeep it. You think, well, it's Brother Thompson just saying stuff to scare us. I've said it so many times. Someone say Brother Thompson's messages are built around warnings, warnings, warnings. Sometimes they, every time he's got one of those downers that he's preaching on. No, those downers are to encourage you. They're not to down you. They are to encourage you to look at yourself and see where you stand. See how I line up with God. Because you made the vow. And one of them was you told God you would learn of Him. Whether you know it or not, that meant you said it to God, you would study His Word. How are you going to keep His commandment if you don't know it? Stop and think about it. So, here's what you said to God too. That was a vow. Because God said that was a command. Study to show thyself. So that is a command. That's a vow. Stop and think about it. And you don't do it. Sunday, it looks like I was a little irritated when I really wasn't. But I was really disappointed in hearing just folks jaw jack. You didn't study nothing, but you want to speak. What do you want to talk when it's obvious you haven't studied it? And those are the things that bother me, and I'm sure they bother God too. You rather run up in the mouth like can't nobody see that you have not studied. You can hear it. I asked when you were in school and you thought you was smoking somebody, pulling the smoke over somebody, they can hear it. When you went to your interview for your job, they can hear it. All they got to do is, come on, Cal, all they got to do is what they ask you something, tell me. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And they come up with something that's got to be something good. Well, I like to see myself one day being the supervisor and hopefully consider being a manager, because I really will put myself out and I will and I'm out to prove to you that I really want this job. Fine, fantastic, made up thought. Fine, fantastic, but it's all made up. You're now saying what you want me to hear you say. You hear me? The difference. Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years? Well, I like to see my paycheck a little bit bigger. I said, you don't need to say that. But I said, you asked me. I mean, you didn't say if you want to. Look, I'm only here because of pay. You stop paying me and say how long I stay. But you hear what I'm saying? But you see what I'm saying? It's sometimes being more real that really hits home. Well, I've had some people actually say that. And I'm like, I don't get mad at that. I laugh at them. We smile and laugh. I said, but I honor your thought. I really do honor your thought. And in an interview, I'm going to tell them, because you know what? I'm here for the same reason. They don't even be lying to you, because that's what I'm here too for. Let them stop paying me, I'm gone too. But you see what I'm saying, guys? We've got to be careful when we start making pledges. That's what they are, pledges. You do not make a pledge and then don't keep it. I remember the brothers making a pledge concerning me, and then they didn't keep it. I didn't say nothing. I let it go, because that pledge was to God. And you're going to have to answer to God. Well, Lord, I just didn't have the money. Then you shouldn't have made it. It's just that simple. Then you shouldn't have made it. Now, I bailed them out, but still, that's the pledge you made. And you need to keep it. My time is gone, guys.